What's going on, everybody? Voidlego here, back for a brand new episode of Chaos Head Noah. Last time we're on, Takayumi's still trying to figure out how exactly to get a DI sword, and unfortunately for him, Fest doesn't have an exact answer for him, as every single person that has one kind of has to find it on their own, as there is no specific method to getting it. So, with his head held down, he goes back to his base, where he finds that his friend sends him a video that was uploaded to YouTube of the first murder of the new gen murder spree. That being the five person dive off a skyscraper. And in that video, one of the people says, or one of the victims say, whose eyes are those eyes before jumping off the building. And Takayumi also notices in that video the creaking of a steel chair, like a real chair, the same one that he attributes to that of Shogun that he saw earlier in Scramble Crossing, within his own delusion or something to that effect. So he heads to school, still paranoid as ever of every single thing around him. And as he's trying to go home, some girl drops her school notebook. And when he looks inside, there's no information about her. There's no picture, there's no name, there's no birthday, there's nothing. And then he's suddenly hit by a wave of nausea. So he goes outside to vomit up his stomach contents, where Rimi meets with him and tries to calm him down. And they go to the record store, and there's this cute little interaction where Rimi wants a CD, a Phantasm, and thankfully Takayumi's able to have it. So, that was a cute scene as well. But I was thinking back, and that notebook scene is so interesting to me. It kind of comes out of nowhere, and there's really no purpose to it, but I think I figure out what that scene means, actually. So, lately, we've been talking about technology that's able to put something that a camera sees into people's eyes. And if you do that, how can a person differentiate from what they're actually seeing compared to a video camera, let's say? What if whoever's behind this, that shady organization we kind of getting mentions of, is behind censoring? I'll call it censoring. Censoring that girl's notebook from Takayumi for whatever reason. And because it was censored for so long, it kind of hit Takayumi with a wave of nausea. Like, whatever this company is up to, they don't want whoever it is that dropped that notebook, whoever is in the academy, whoever that girl was, from contacting Takayumi for whatever reason. That's why he was hit by a big wave of nausea. Because they will do anything to make sure these two don't meet, Takayumi and this mysterious girl, for some reason. I mean, we could also attribute that to Rimi, if Rimi really was with Takayumi beforehand, or she just appeared one day, maybe. I don't know. It's still up in the air about that as well. But what would be the point, though? Why make sure to disconnect these two random people, Takayumi and this mysterious girl or man or whoever it was, really, from contacting each other? That's what I'm most curious about. There's still so many questions I have, and I like, it really just feels like we're not even on the tip of the iceberg. We're like, I feel like we're above the iceberg. We haven't really gotten to the meat of this game. We still don't know what the hell's going on. What are these eye swords? Well, we kind of know what they are, but like at the same time, what is their purpose? How do they quote unquote fix errors? What is this shady organization up to? What is with the new gen murder spree? What is going on in Shibuya is the biggest question here. It feels like we're just we're going nowhere since Takumi is kind of losing his goddamn mind. Like, and it's definitely on purpose here for the first playthrough, I think, as probably the more routes we get as we continue on in this game, the more answers we'll probably get. Hopefully we'll get. As it just seems like we're just in the dark here and just trying to scramble for any type of wedge, for any string of truth, of actual reality. We're kind of in the same boat as Takumi, as we don't know what the hell is going on. Even with the extra scenes here and there, it still doesn't paint a full picture. We're only just getting bite-sized pieces of what this story truly is. So I wonder if we're going to get more from this chapter. Probably not, but, you know, yeah, a guy can hope, huh? So, yeah, let's get right into it. I managed to make it back to base safely. Thanks to Rimi, of course. One thing ended up catching me off guard, though. When we arrived, I asked her to wait outside while I cleaned my room, but she flat out refused.
だって前に来た時に汚いっていうのはよーくわかったし、今さら片付けたって無駄だよ。かっこつけなくてもいいって、私とタクの中でしょ？ね？
Yeah, but I wish I knew what exactly that meant. Rimi was completely absent from my memory, meaning I didn't really know her. Every once in a while, I'd find myself taken aback at how ridiculously friendly Rimi was whenever she talked to me. It wasn't unpleasant or anything, but only made it all the more clear how different we felt about each other. On that particular note, was Rimi serious about there not being no point in me cleaning my room? The floor was littered with empty boxed lunches, and the bed was piled high with eroge cases with not exactly the most safe for work cover art. Either Rimi had nerves of steel, or she had no reason to feel on edge around me, but trying to figure out which it was only made me feel even more confused. Rimi, unaware of how distressed I was, went to sit on the sofa, looking earnestly over the lyric booklet, including the Phantasm CD. I plopped down in my chair, and the tension flooding my body left soon after. My mind was completely maxed out after spending most of the day terrified, yet I wasn't feeling that exhausted. Maybe that was thanks to Rimi being there.
さて、どうしよっか。
Closing the lyric booklet, Rimi stretched her arms out high and sent a smile my way. What should we do? What were we supposed to do? She hadn't come here to hang out or anything. She just wanted me to run to her CD. She was doing me a favor by staying with me, but what the hell were we supposed to actually do? Did we have to do anything? If we were in a rogue, we'd probably jump straight into an H scene, but... Wait, stop. I really shouldn't be thinking about that right now. Even under the best circumstances, it was still really a tense situation, being alone in my room with a 3D girl and all. If I were to have some unwelcome delusions, I might suddenly shoot back to reality and end up saying something weird. Silence. Rimi was staring vacantly at the various manga scattered on the floor and the eroge piled up on the bed. Awkward. I knew that most of the awkwardness would dissipate if I just said something, but the only subjects I could think of were video games and anime. And I doubted that Rimi knew anything about either. Wouldn't it be more logical for Rimi to say something? She was the one who would say she stayed with me and all. This was going to be a bad time. She actually expected me to lead the conversation. Jesus Christ, I really did suck with 3D girls. I was grateful to her for staying with me, but I couldn't handle the sheer, unrelenting silence. The fact that the room barely had any light was also an issue. Gave off the illusion that the room was dark for some rude reason. Unable to take it anymore, I turned to face my PC. I needed to look up something. They'd been thinking about it at school. Might end up giving me a hint as to how I get my hands on a DL sword. Is it RTI? Is it possible to translate images pictured in the mind to actual images? Ooh. Using what Senna had told me about VR technology and people being electronic devices as a base, I began researching the subject.
何してるの?
Rimi stood up and approached my desk. Should I explain? But how to go about it? Take forever if I told her everything.
ねえねえ、何してるか教えてよ。
Seeing no reaction from me, Rimi poked me in the back with her finger. They couldn't just ignore it, right? Yeah, never be that easy.
君はその妄想が現実になるって信じられる？
As I entered a few key words into the search bar, I spoke without looking at Rimi. Instead, I pretended I was talking to Saratan.
妄想が現実に無理でしょう。もしそれができたら人はとっくに万能になってるよ。
That's a good point, actually. Delusions created a world in which any action, no matter how unrealistic, was possible. If they were to become reality, the unreal would become real. Unreality would become reality.
それがどうしたの？
それに近いシステムがアメリカで特許あるんだ。
へえ、冗談でしょ。
I could feel Rimi's hatful scoff on my back. So in response, I showed her the image of the pen that Shiro had found for me.
これは？
特許の証拠写真。
本当に？
Rimi leaned forward and brought her face close to the monitor. She was right up next to my face, peering intently at the screen.
私英語って苦手。すごいね、タク。英語読めるなんて。
She was way too close. She was so close I could see the glittering of her eyes as they reflected the light of the monitor. I got flustered all over again.
ねえねえ、どういうことか教えてよ。
Seemed it had piqued her interest. I tried to avoid thinking about how close she was to me and attempted to focus on Saratan and the monitor instead.
生まれながらに盲目の人でもビデオカメラみたいな映像機器を通すことでそこに映る景色が見えるようになるんだ。これ豆知識な。
ビデオカメラが目の代わりっていうこと？
そう VR 技術って言うんだよ。
へえ、もし本当だったらすごいな。
But it is. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Senna had told me that there's already been successful tests.
でも機械を使って目が見えるようになるのと妄想が現実になるってどうつながるの？私頭悪いからよくわかんないや。
As I explained it to Rimi, I tried searching for a number of keywords that might have been related, but I couldn't find anything. Even so, I kept on trying and typed more and more keywords.
映像機器に映る景色も脳内で思い浮かべた妄想も電気信号だから。逆に考えるんだ。脳内に電気信号を送るんじゃなくて、脳内から電気信号を送るって考えるんだ。
All I got were filler responses. She probably didn't understand a thing I was saying, probably. Couldn't be bothered trying to explain everything in detail, so I just stopped trying. I had to concentrate on my research. It didn't really matter if she understood it or not. After all, it was nothing more than a hypothesis I'd come up with. Rimi was still making noises and nodding to herself. Time to ignore her. I've been doing a whole lot of searching, but I still wasn't able to find any data to confirm my hypothesis. I tried taking a different approach, this time focusing my research on the pen itself. I went and checked a foreign website that Shiro had told me about, one that listed American pens. Once I was there, I began to look for pens that would fit what I had in mind. Oh shit, what is this? After following a few links, I finally found an image with a similar vibe to the one Shiro had sent me. At a glance, though, the pen was clearly different from the VR apparatus one. I should read it right away.
神経信号パルスを遠隔地からモニターし、 それを映像および音声として再現する装置と方法を。
Oh shit.
おお、
That was exactly what I had in mind. I involuntarily leapt out of my chair.
これすごいぞ。
すごいの？何が何が？
簡単に言うとこれ他人の思考を盗撮する技術だ。
思考を盗撮。
To sum it up, the audio and video people were imagining in their heads could be stolen by using a certain apparatus. Moreover, it even said that nerve impulses could be monitored from satellites. That meant it was possible to spy on subjects' thoughts no matter where they were on the planet. Damn.
本当にそんなことできるの？ SF 小説とかそういう類のものなんじゃ？
特許ってそのシステム自体が完全に仕上がってないと絶対に取得できないんだって。
That had been made clear to me when I'd been looking up stuff about patents earlier.
だからこれもちゃんとシステムが確立されてるってことだよ。
This wasn't mere fiction. As long as you had the technological capabilities and the funds to build it, you could implement it at any time. Before, Senna had told me that.
ある意図的な情報を神経パルスへコンバートすることが可能なら、人の五感すべて、さらには人の意志そのものもコントロールできるんじゃないか。
Damn. Having both technologies to give fake images and to basically weed what their impulses will do, you can pretty much do anything pretty much with that. Like you can make sure like, oh, they're thinking of like seeing a, let's say like a pizza, and you send the image of a pizza to them. And it's like, damn. I couldn't find a source for that, so it remained as mere conjecture from her. However, for my own theory, there were sources. Why would something so insane not have spread all throughout Japan? This clearly deserved a Nobel Prize, if not something even bigger. I continued my research, this time looking up the mind-reading keyword. Then I found a record of a particular lawsuit from America. Ooh.
また英文だ。頭痛くなってきそうだよ。
It was a really long document, so even I had a hard time reading it. It probably would read poorly, but I decided to use a piece of English to Japanese translation software. The contents of what was written there could be summarized like this. Legal record. Plaintiff N.K. Rabin defended the United States Department of Defense CIA. Oh shit, okay. Plaintiff's allegations. I have become aware that my mind has been read via the use of a peculiar device. My monitored thoughts are then recorded and subsequently transferred to an unknown location using satellites. The aforementioned satellites have taken me hostage. I have been the victim of constant, unending attacks regardless of the time of day, all of which were carried out by those very satellites. 1. Tracking. 2. Mind-reading telepathic surveillance. 3. Monitoring of all bodily signals. 4. Biolympical attacks. 5. Oral attacks. 6. Physical deliberation. Since the latter 3rd of December 1990, oh shit, I have been forcefully shown artificially created dreams during my sleep, some of which include video, audio, and even voices. From February to May 1992, I have fallen victim to several biolympical attacks, all of which serve to torture me via the induction of pain and or psychological harassment. Recognizing that these attacks are aimed specifically toward myself, beginning February of 1992, I began to record the following information in a journal: the date, time, and contents of any particularly agonizing psychological attack I could remember. The biolympical attacks were aimed at every single region of my body. The pain, torture, and psychological harassments were coordinated in order to cause discomfort, fatigue, and agony to specific regions of my body, or in some cases, my entire body. The main regions affected are as follows: chest, visual system, abdomen, brain to induce sleeping disorders, brain to show me artificially created dreams.
思考監視、思考盗撮、しかも国家ぐるみ。
You know what? It does sound like this something the CIA would set up. I mean, never forget MK Ultra from the 70s.
マジ
あ、私これ知ってる。何年か前に映画で見た。
That was fiction, though. But what was written on these records very much wasn't. I wonder if this is an actual case. Maybe not. It's a 50-50, really. Like, it could be a real case that, like, happened in 1993. Because I feel like I've heard of this before. Or I've heard, like, psychosis of, people claiming to be attacked by satellites that, read their minds or some stuff like that. And, basically cause them to, like, endure pain and shit like that. Or it could just be fake and it's just a common thing that happens. Because it could be like something like John Tudor from Steins Gate, for example. So, who knows? You guys can tell me down below. There are two possibilities. Either the plaintiff was a total mental case, or the entire thing was factual. It was difficult to figure out where exactly the boundary between the two was. Taking into account the pattern from earlier, it could very well be truthful. So Sana and Iris weren't total mental cases, particularly Iris. Back then, Iris had cloned herself right before my very eyes. I didn't witness the exact moment when it happened. All I knew was that when I turned around and another Iris was there. She had also shown me how she pulled her DI sword out of thin air. It had been neither a hallucination nor a delusion. After showing me something like that, there was no way I could still label her as a mental case. However, Reese had also said this. That strange phenomenon had it. Had it been my delusion coming to fruition? Maybe that was what Elise had been talking about when she mentioned the power. A power that projected delusions into reality. Maybe I had that power. Oh shit. No. I was probably just jumping to conclusions. Ooh. Got ourselves another choice. Okay. I'm gonna go with bad, since we haven't had that one. Wow. It was a total stretch to think that a psychic ability existed just because something, a system using scientific means, was able to reproduce delusions as images. But what if the method to obtain a DI sword was by using such a psychic ability? So let's suppose I had that ability within me. It might have been worth a try. Oh shit. Leaving Rimi to stare at the PC screen with her eyebrows furrowed, I picked up the toy DI sword sitting in the corner of my room. I went to stand in the center of my room and brought my sword to eye level like I was an ESO character. At that point, I started to feel kind of ridiculous. There was no way a skinny Japanese guy like me would look cool holding such a huge sword. It was easy to find pictures of cosplayers doing the same thing online, but the vast majority of them just felt painful to look at. Someone would probably feel the same way about me if they saw me like this. This might have been asking for the impossible. Despite my pessimism, I gave it a try nonetheless. I guess I just needed to picture an image of the sword in my head. When the word sword came to mind, I couldn't help but think about ESO. Maybe I should picture something akin to the beautiful sinister swords that Senna and Iris had, each complete with a sharpness that could sever anything untouched. I couldn't quite form a clear shape. Maybe it was because I still couldn't gather my thoughts. I needed to focus on either an actual source from ESO or a sword like Senna's and Iris's. If I had to choose between them, I should really go for the latter. Alright, let's see where this leads me. While reproducing one as a delusion inside my head, I planted my feet, gritted my teeth, and tried grasping the sword of the power I now held in my hands. I prayed as hard as I could inside my head. Become real.
やめて。
Suddenly, something warm and soft covered one of my hands holding the sword. Startled, I opened my eyes. Rimi had reached out her hand from beside me, then grabbed my wrist. Oh. Her head hung low, her eyebrows furrowed in distress, and her lips trembled slightly. What the? Something was wrong. It felt like she was an entirely different person from the one that'd been getting all confused about patterns earlier. And what was she telling me to stop? Ooh, an unpleasant memory flashed through my mind. Rimi was on my side, she was supposed to be. However, I still hadn't solved the mystery surrounding her. Did Rimi know something about DEI swords? With a gulp, I nervously called out to her.
タク。
With her eyes cast downward, Rimi opened her mouth. Her voice was stifled, devoid of any and all emotion.
その件だけど。
Rimi was my ally, wasn't she? She wouldn't betray me like Yua did, would she? If even Rimi betrayed me, I'd...
捨てた方がいいと思う。
Ooh.
どうして
My voice nearly cracked. Did Rimi know something after all?
だって
Rimi's gaze finally moved, but this time it landed squarely in my eyes. I hurriedly averted my own. What was she going to say?
だってもう高校生だし。
Huh? Rimi suddenly broke into a grin, a very mischievous grin. The abrupt change in demeanor left me speechless.
そりゃ男の子っていくつになってもそういうおもちゃが大好きなんだなーってのはなんとなくわかるけど、さすがにそんな大きなおもちゃ一人で部屋で振り回してるのはどうかと思うよ。それが許されるのは小学生までじゃない？でもタクの個人的な趣味を私の前で披露してくれたってのはちょっと嬉しいかも。私にだけ秘密を教えてくれたみたいで。
What the hell, man? I got all scared for no reason.
そもそもそれどこで買ってきたの？高かったんじゃない？
That was some goofy music.
1万円渋谷の雑貨屋で。
へえ、1万円か。安いのか高いのかわからないけど。でもそんな大きなおもちゃが普通に売ってるんだね。私そんな大きなのを直接見たのって初めて。その雑貨屋さんに売ってるっていうのは誰かに教えてもらったの？
She really wasn't gonna let it go. Was she interested in these kinds of swords or something? Maybe Rimi was actually a total chumbuyu in disguise. So the one who'd been making fun of me for having a sword actually wanted one herself. Tsundere much?
自分で調べたネットで。
ネットか。
Yeah, I looked up cool, awesome swords online.
すごいな。何でも情報が手に入るんだね。私は全然ダメ。パソコンなんてろくに使えないよ。で、その件って流行ってるの？
なんで？
タクはどうしてそれを買おうと思ったのかなって。
Maybe I should just tell her the truth. She was going to stay by my side moving forward. Maybe she ended up helping me search for a real DEI sword in the future. If that was the case, it might be better to just tell her everything now and get it out of the way.
これは偽物だけど本物があるんだ。
本物？
Rimi tilted her head, puzzled.
本物を持ってる人を僕知ってるんだ。2人いる同じ学校の女子。
女子ね。女の子がこ んなおもちゃを欲しがるかな。
本当なんだ。それにおもちゃじゃない。
あ、ごめん。
本物は光るんだ。それにすごい存在感で、僕それを探してる。それさえ手に入れれば僕は救われるんだ。
救われるって。
Rimi looked quite puzzled when I was dead serious. Not to mention a DEI sword would be a powerful tool to confront Shogun.
それで
I wanted to say that I needed her help to find it. However, when I thought about what I could even do if she said no, I grew too scared and anxious to say anything. I dropped the fake sword on the spot and sat down on the sofa. With a sigh, I closed my eyes. Would Rimi offer me her help in order to find it? If she did, everything would turn out okay. But I knew how realistic it was to expect her to go that far. Up until now, Rimi had always come dashing to my rescue whenever I was in a tough spot, almost like she could read my mind. In that case, maybe I...
とにかく、もし本物があったとしても、それこそ買ったりしちゃダメだよ。今タクが持ってるのはおもちゃだからいいけど、本物ってことは銃刀法違反になっちゃうんだから。
Yeah, I feel like you're not explaining this great at all, Takumi. My hopes were crushed instantly. Ugh, what insane disappointment. Then again, Rimi's reaction made sense from the POV of an average person. These past few weeks, I encountered so many inexplicable things. I was nearly at the point where I was ready to believe anything that Senna and Reese had said. Maybe Reese was right. I had to find a DI sword entirely on my own.
それでタク、
I felt Rimi sit down next to me.
その本物の剣を持ってる女子って誰かな。
Her voice came from very close by. She was right next to me. It was just the two of us in an enclosed, dimly lit room, and we were sitting right next to each other. Emergency! Everyone battle stations! Emergency!
タクに女子の知り合いが私以外にいたなんてちょっとびっくり。もしかして彼女？
So that was she was going with this? Could it be Rimi was trying to seduce me? The only possible conversation that could result from this topic was one centered on romance. After I told her the truth, she'd give me her confession, and then the mood would start getting really hot and heavy, and then... Oh god, I couldn't do this! I wasn't even remotely prepared for this! I opened my eyes and frantically shook my head. Both Reese and Senna were mysterious creatures, not to mention absolute mental cases. Schizo didn't even begin to describe them. I'd moe over them if they were 2D characters, but I never moe over 3D shit. Especially with Senna. Talking to her just scared me. It surprised me violence was just part of her MO. I wanted to stay as far away from her as possible.
そっか。ちょっと安心したかな。
え？
Oh. Flag tripped! Oh boy. Well, I mean, by the laws I have dictated, aka choosing delusions, I already went with bad, so I gotta go with good now, folks. It's a 50-50 system here at Voidlego's channel. Oh shit, ah shit! My whole body froze in place. She clearly said that on purpose, right? Was she subtly hitting on me right now? Judging from the flow of this conversation, there was a good chance Rimi had me right where she wanted me. How should I answer? Should I just come out and say exactly what she wanted to hear? Yeah, surely nothing bad could come from that. But I wasn't sure I had the confidence to go out with a real girl. Alright, here we go. Oh shit, no scene transition? I was at a loss about what to do, so I opted to subtly examine Rimi's expression. What the hell? My mind went completely blank. I couldn't keep up with this sudden, outrageous turn of events. I couldn't even lift a finger. Shock had rendered me unable to speak.
どうかした？
In the blink of an eye, Rimi had stripped off her school jacket, and not just that, but upon taking closer look, she removed her skirt too. As if her extreme outfit wasn't enough, she was also hugging her knees, making it look like she was completely commando. In other words. At this very moment, Rimi, who was sitting right next to me with her head tilted and her eyes on me, was covering her underwear with nothing more than mere shirt. The first thing that popped in my head was a classic private tutor eroge, titled The Unrelenting Emily Sensei. The first chapter had a scene that went exactly what I was experiencing right now. It's fate that something shit out in eroge was actually happening to me in reality. What eroge was that from? Reality? What the fuck? Is this an illusion, or was it legit? Regardless of whether it was a delusion or not, there was no mistaking that Rimi was just an incredibly rude outfit. Against my bitter judgment, my eyes aimed themselves toward her chest. The neck of her shirt went down to her breast, and thanks to the angle I was looking at her from, I could see what was underneath. Yeah, a really fucked up angle. A bright pink bra. You have surprisingly large breasts, Saka Hatata-san. Wait, stop. She'll fake you're a pervert if you ogre her like that. Don't look. Stop looking. I lowered my gaze. Only to find myself looking at her hips. Holy fucking... What word is this? Alright. What? I have never seen this word. Okay. Holy fucking Jardy. She really wasn't wearing a skirt. I can see your panties, Sakata-san. What a simple yet lovely pair. This would make some excellent fat material. Oh god, my Johnson was starting to make himself very known. Her body had been giving off a nice scent for a while now. And how should I put it? The texture of her skin combined with her amazing figure, it all put 2D to shame. Was this a true power of the third dimension? Not gonna lie, she was hot fuck. She seemed very capable of instantly obliterating the values I held dear until now, even though I'd never been into 3D, nor had I ever planned to change that, even though I only loved 2D characters. Right now, Rimi held enough destructive power to fucking obliterate those lofty values with a single strike. Her faint breaths, which sounded almost aroused, the delicately swaying, lustrous hair, the way her chest rose and fell with each breath, the manner with which she seductively rubbed her thighs together, those shimmering eyes, that pink tongue peeping out from her partially opened lips. It was getting hard to breathe. My mind was in a complete other dimension. What was this feeling? I think you're having a heart attack. It was akin to that agonizing feeling of yearning I felt whenever I started an H scene in Loge. I couldn't keep calm.
タク
Rimi called my name in a sickly sweet voice. My eyes were now permanently glued to her body. It was the first time I had ever seen a physically mature girl up so close. Was Rimi trying to seduce me? Did she like me? If so, I had to admit I wasn't a fan of how shamelessly she was going about it. I guess it was just that I preferred love to come from the subtle nurturing of platonic affection, and once graduation arrived, that love would come to fruition through a bashful confession upon spoken under the oak of legends. Of course. Having mustered so much courage to say that to me, she then cried tears of joy, and when I said yes, leading us to kiss, and then... well, that was what I wanted. The current way things were going was far from platonic.
私喉乾いてきちゃった何か飲み物ある
Unable to endure the horniness. Unable to endure the horniness any longer, eagerly rose to my feet. What did I have? What did I have? Was there anything in the fridge? I had some half-finished cola, but I drank directly from the bottle, so it probably wouldn't be the best idea to give it to Rimi.
ないなら買ってこようかなコンビニって深センの駅前にあったよね
I felt Rimi stand up behind me.
ちょっと行ってくる。
She was leaving? I frantically turned around to see Rimi, still dressed in that shameless outfit, opening the door to head outside. She was going to go to the convenience store while people could see her panties? She wasn't normal. Yeah, have you thought that it's just in your fucking head, Takumi? Was Rimi an exhibitionist or something?
露出狂
Hearing that behind me made me literally jump in the air and land on my ass. There stood Wimmy, who should have been just about to leave the room. Not only that, but she was wearing her usual outfit, and was all fully on. She looked down at me with wide eyes.
びっくりした。急に大声出さないでよ。さっきから変だよ。一人でブツブツ言い出したかと思ったら急に大声上げるし。
Oh my god, does he really does talk to himself. Mumbling all that shit to himself. Oh my god.
どうかしたの？
Jesus, fuck, man, Takumi, you have, you were insanely horny, my guy. And kind of just, I wouldn't say crazy, but you have issues. Which, well, I should probably know by now. Why is Rimi there now? She should have been just about to leave the container. Had that half-naked Rimi been a delusion? But she felt so real. I hadn't touched her, but merely looking at her skin made me think how squishy and soft it'd be if I touched it. Wait, what the hell was I saying? I was losing my mind today.
ねえ、タク。
Interesting. So that does confirm that delusions don't exactly have to have that transition. You know, like some delusions have that transitions and the, background is all wobbly and shit. But I think that confirmed to us that just because there isn't a transition doesn't mean it isn't a delusion, which is probably good to note for future cases. Yeah, that's what I'm taking away from that very erotic scene. And also, that's just it was more funny to me than erotic, really. That was the funniest shit ever. Just he turned back around, she's already half naked. Well, shit. It's so funny to me. I cringed when she called my name. Did she hate me now? What would I do if she was already fed up with me? If Rimi wouldn't stay with me, I wouldn't even be able to go out alone anymore.
私、喉乾いてきちゃった。何か飲み物ある？
She'd asked me the exact same thing as before. However, rather than that sultry tone from before, her voice was perfectly normal now. I shook my head from side to side. Rimi poked her temple with her index finger and pursed her lips in thought.
ないなら買ってこようかな。コンビニって深センの駅前にあったよね。
What?
ちょっと行ってくる。
What the fuck? She gave me a big smile and then left without waiting for my response. I could only watch her leave in a daze. She was going to the convenience store in uniform, which was completely normal. The half-naked Rimi from before really had been a delusion. I felt a mixture of both relief and slight disappointment. But that's interesting, though. She said the exact same thing. Exact same fucking thing, and she left in kind of the exact same manner as well. What the fuck does that imply? Maybe Elise was onto something of, delusions coming from different realities. Ooh, shit. Ooh. That half-naked Rimi, Elise splitting in two. What kind of mechanism was capable of reproducing those delusions accurately enough to feel real? Yeah. Had it even been that, though? Did I have powers or not? And if I did, how could I actively use them? How could I obtain a DI sword? I was still stuck deep in a maze of questions, unable to do anything but wander around aimlessly. While Rimi went out shopping, I went back to researching the pattern and mind reading. When I reached my computer, I noticed that Grim had entered the chat room and was looking for me. You there, Nightheart? Whoa, Nightheart. Dating as usual, I see. Come on, kid, chat with me, please. Seriously, got new info. Nightheart, chat. Dinner's ready. I sighed and walked away and entered the chat room. Look, who finally decided to show up. You're too slow, Nightheart. Thanks to that, I've entered whose eyes are those eyes mode. Damn it, the fuck was whose eyes are those eyes mode? Grim obviously just wanted to use the phrase for the hell of it. Even though he knew I hated seeing that goddamn thing. I always freak out whenever I saw it. What kind of new info? New gen, obviously. It happened, bro. The 5th case. Son of a bitch. Of course, I felt the usual depression I always felt whenever I heard about new gen, but on the other hand, I was also bewildered. I was sure that Shogun Yua would target me this time. My fate had been delayed, it seemed, though I wasn't sure whether or not to be happy about that. Want to know the deets? It's on the tabooed homepage. Quick search should tell you everything. What time today did it happen? Not today, but they found the body last night. But the victim died the day before. This time was seriously insane. The guy's brains were removed. Oh shit. Without warning, Grim started telling me the details of the case and began to panic. I was beyond done with all this gory shit. I didn't want to hear about any of it. If I got word of it, I might imagine myself getting brutally murdered in the same way. Even though I still hadn't found out how to get a DI sword. And yet Grim continued mercilessly. It was seriously freaky, dude. What I think the cause of death was? Drumroll please. Emancipation? Which means he was alive even after his brains were removed. What the fuck? The repulsiveness of it all sent chills down my spine. I wrapped my arms around my body. I didn't want to hear anymore. Spare me, please. I'm begging you. My wife already went to shit a long time ago, so please. Apparently, he was in a state kind of like brain dead. He might have even been like that for over a week. Just sitting there brainless. He obviously couldn't eat or drink, so no wonder they died of emancipation. Hatchin already named the case Numbskull. This is really our epic at least. Okay, so this part's hilarious. Get this. The victim was a psychologist. A psychologist had their brains removed. Actual what the fuck were mal levels of irony. A psychologist. The moment I said the word, my heart skyrocketed. I might have been overthinking it, but I had to check to make certain. But I also didn't want to. His doctor. After hesitating on and off for a while, I eventually went to the homepage of Taboo and opened the news article reporting on the Numbskull incident. No fucking way! Oh shit! Oh fuck! Oh you motherfucker! That's... Oh my god! What the fuck? Oh, shit. Oh, that's bad. Oh, what the fuck? Fucking Dr. Takashina.
なんてことだ。なんて。
The victim's name was Takashina Fumo. Fumino. Dr. Takashina had been killed. He was provoking me. Shogun was brainily provoking me. To do that, he killed the only doctor I could rely on, just to set an example.
そんな。助けて、誰か助けてくれ。
I let out a scream. My mind was in complete disarray. It felt like I was on the brink of snapping. God damn.
やだ死にたくないリミ助けて
I searched for Rimi. I frantically looked around the room over and over. She wasn't there. She wasn't there. She wasn't there. Why wasn't she there? Because she just went out shopping. I lay down on the ground, clutching my head.
僕を助けて、リミ。助けてよ。どこにも行かないで。頼むよ。
Jesus. I really do feel bad for Takumi, you know. He feels so goddamn alone. Even though he does push a lot of people away. But still. Someone responded to me. Shocked, I looked up to find Rimi standing right beside me, holding a convenient sword bag.
リミ。
She'd come back, thank goodness. Relieved I held out my hand. Rimi crouched down and embraced my hand with both of her own. Her hands had been cool when she'd touched me before, but now they felt so unbelievably warm.
ここにいる。私はここにいるから。怯えないで。
Using her finger, Rimi wiped my tears away with a gentle smile. How pathetic could I be? I wasn't a man at all. Showing how terrified I was, crying and screaming all in front of a girl. And yet, even while knowing how pathetic I was, she still said that she would stay by my side. Right now, this warmth I felt was the only thing keeping my mind from shattering. Till I got a DEI sword, I never wanted to let her go. Oh, fuck, man. God. It's those scenes like that that really sell me on how much Takumi really depends on Rimi, you know? It just really gets to me, really gets to me. Whenever night fell, Miyashita Park always found itself engulfed in a peculiar air. Whose eyes are those eyes? 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 In the center of the park stood a large group of people packed together. There must have been no less than 100 of them. What the fuck? Most of them seemed to be in their teens, with some wearing high school uniforms and others, particularly girls, wearing fashionable casual clothes. Within the crowd was an otaku-esque young man with glasses and a Grango high school girl, the latter of which was a very rare sight in this day and age. From an outsider's perspective, one would think they were attending some kind of event, but upon closer inspection, it became clear that their behavior was anything but normal. They were all looking at the ground, their eyes unfocused and empty. Even though quite a number of people were gathered here, none of them conversed with each other. They simply stood there frozen in place. Every last one of them wore the same faint smile, all while murmuring something under their breaths. A phrase that their whole bodies and minds were dedicated to saying. Whose eyes are those eyes? That phrase seeped from the mouths of the 100 people there despite their smiles. The chant rose as nothing more than a flat and motionless murmur echoing throughout the park like a Buddhist sutra. Naturally, due to the bizarre state the people there were under, no one else was roaming Mishitada Park. A female officer worker on her way home from work and a middle-aged woman walking her dog attempted to pass through, only to find themselves terrified by the strange sight and turning back the way they came. What the fuck is going on? There was only a single man who was paying close attention to that peculiar group. At first glance, it appeared that he too was part of the group, but in actuality, he was standing alone a few meters away from it. Considering his choice in clothing, the man would have blended in quite well in Akihabara. He wore a plaid shirt, deeply worn sneakers, mittens, a red bandana, and a large green rucksack. Whoa. He was fairly corpulent, which made the buttons on his shirt appear as though they were about to come off. Okay, so big. It was late until October, so while the air should have been quite cool, the man's forehead was covered in sweat. In constant war against this, the man attempted to wipe it away with a towel, but to no avail. He looked around restlessly, seemingly unable to calm down, and yet from the way his shoulders moved, he almost appeared as if he was laughing. Ever since they had begun, accompanying the sutra-like chants was a distinct mechanical sound, the origin of which was the man's rucksack. Another high schooler, this one wearing a bracer, entered the park. Instead of flinching at the sight of the peculiar group, she kept her eyes locked onto them as she steadily approached. The way she walked, her long black hair fluttering in the wind, gave off an aura of pure confidence and gallantry. And somewhat of a contrast to this, the girl carried a half-eaten popsicle in her hand. The group paid her no mind. They were completely absorbed in their own world, continually repeat the same phrase over and over again. Being ignored did not faze her either. She did not even raise an eyebrow. Then, as she was drawing closer to the group, she suddenly stopped. She nibbled at the popsicle while remaining fairly composed. As she chewed, the distinct sound of crunching escaped her mouth. When she finished eating, the girl worked at the stick right beyond the treat, clicked her tongue, and tossed it away at her feet. Her eyes sharp as ever, her gaze slowly moved over the faces of each individual of the group.
Oi,
The man with the rucksack shut at her, the girl now clearly beyond the limit of what he could ignore. Naturally, the girl, Aoi Senna, was well aware that the man had been watching her since she had arrived. But mocking the snort, she abruptly crossed her hands over each other, then straightened her arms out in front of her. Then the area between her hands warped faintly, and the vague shape of a metal rod appeared. Oh boy. It looked similar to a hoe or a shovel, but the shape matched neither of those descriptions. It was a razor-sharp sword with a bifurcated blade. After a moment, it took on a definite shape, and Senna grasped it with both hands. However, it did not end there. Immediately after, blue white illuminated both sides of the sword Senna was holding, as well as the air directly to the right of her where it was pointed. Oh shit. Just as before, metal pieces appeared from that glowing blue space. As they took shape, they noisily fused with the long braid that appeared before them. At last, a ring formed, one from which another long trail of white streaked far to the right. The bifurcated blade traced the trail's trajectory as it came into being. Though one might have originally thought it to be a hoe or a shovel, it was now clear that it transformed into a gigantic sword. Sharp yet elegant, translucent yet destructive, sinister yet beautiful. With an overwhelming sense of presence, the sword settled in Senna's hands. The man with the rucksack showed no reaction. He simply stared at Senna with a malicious look on his face. Okay. Okay, so he doesn't see it? I don't know. With a voice quite high-pitched for a man, he had ordered Senna to leave, accompanying it with a violent gesture. His tone was thoroughly domineering, though he kept his distance from her. Senna, on the other hand, opened her mouth without showing any shift in emotion. It seemed to be more of a request for confirmation rather than an actual question. She rotated her gaze toward the man with the rucksack, locking him in place. In response, the man showed clear signs of fluster, providing a fierce contrast to what he had displayed before them. Hatano. The man, too paralyzed by fear, was unable to act nor answer a question. The group of people muttering whose eyes are those eyes paid no attention to the exchange between the two. Rather, their eyes did not even register it. Senna's gaze met with the man's. The first to avert their eyes was him. Remaining silent, Senna brandished the great sword she was holding in both hands in a Kazumi no Kane stance. She then slowly lowered her hips, and then she cast her upper body forward. Oh shit, what's about to happen? What the hell is this? No, not backward. What is this stance? It is a type of stand utilized in sword fights. Held horizontally with the hilt beside the face and the tip of the blade pointing towards the opponent. Okay, so it's just the stance. Oh shit. The sword emitted white once more. But unlike before, what it released was not blue-white, but a white blending together fierce purple and red. Oh shit. She about to, like, chop this guy in half. Suddenly, a high-pitched screech resembling a woman's scream resounded. The atmosphere between her and the man was warped with anger, but not in the metaphorical manner. It was entirely physical. The very air itself vibrated, converging towards the sword Senna was holding. The red glow of the sword became inconceivably intense, to the point of dazzlement. Senna took a small breath and gritted her teeth. Oh shit! A booming sound roared. The shower of sparks surged. A sonic wave erupted, one that sought to blow away the air itself. The vibration in the air then immediately subsided. The sword, however, continued to flicker with a brilliant red glow, one reminiscent of pulsing blood. Senna slowly pointed the tip of her sword directly at the man. As one would expect, the previously indifferent group started showing signs of agitation. Bewildered, they all started running away as if they had returned to their senses. Senna paid them no mind. She simply kept her eyes locked on the single man with the rucksack. The man, who until now had shown no clear signs of fear, began to panic. He started taking a few steps back, his face turning pale. He shook his head in denial. Told to what?
誤解するなと言ったはず。
Senna did not even remotely entertain the man's supplications.
質問したのはただの挨拶代わりだ。
Oh.
お前が何を答えたってそれを壊すことに変わりはない。
Destroyed it. The fierce glittering dwelled within her eyes. What, did she destroy the machine that was in that guy's sack with, like, just pure vibrations? The man shrieked pitifully, turned on his heel, and attempted to flee. However, the group, which had only just dispersed, was now running away in confusion. His escape route blocked, the man, who had grown far beyond frantic, stopped dead in his tracks. And at that very moment, Senna kicked off the ground and closed the gap between her and the man's back. Oh my fucking god. It was a machine? A blow so swift, it was hard to conceptualize that it had come from Senna's slender arms. The blade swooped horizontally, shredding the rucksack the man was carrying. The impact blew the man away. He collapsed to the ground and curled into a ball, covering his head with his hands. Having lost the will to free, all the man could do was tremble. His groin was now sodden, the man having become incontinent out of fear. Senna walked over to the man and, without paying him any mind, gazed down at the contents of the destroyed rucksack. A collection of small sparks spread out from within, emitting a crackling sound. There was a device inside. Its shape might have originally called to mind a device one size larger than a modem, but after getting demolished by Senna's DI sword, it was now in pieces. It could not be of any use anymore. The deafening mechanical sound that had been coming from within the rucksack could no longer be heard. What the fuck? NOZOMI. Muttering to no one particular, Senna's voice oozed with hatred. Ha. 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 Interesting. Well, I feel like that demonstrates to us that NOZOMI is obviously behind these, and they're able to control groups of people, and to saying that damn phrase, whose eyes are those eyes, over and over again. It's almost like they're testing it, and sending agents out to use this machine that obviously messes with people's senses and their own reality, force them to say things they wouldn't say before. But why, still? Maybe just to control the public? Could be as simple as that, but... Damn. So, it's interesting. So it seemed like She first sent out like a vibration, like a shockwave, in order to disperse all the people, I guess, to get everyone back to their senses. Then she destroyed the machine. At first, I thought she sent out a vibration in order to destroy this machine first, but it's probably not the case. Interesting. No, what the fuck? Like, we're definitely getting answers. And I feel like we know who the main antagonist is, or at least the organization it is, but like, what is the purpose? And still, what the hell is the new gen murders then? As fall moved forward, it gradually been getting colder outside. The fact I've been able to go out in a short sleeve shirt only a few days ago felt unreal. The color of the sky was also somewhat dull. Its previously bright tint seemed to be fading. If you went to the park, you'd be able to see the vibrant autumn leaves sprouting from the trees. Maybe they were sucking the color from the sky. As I looked up towards the sky, I jammed my toothbrush into my mouth. The nice thing about my base was that I had no eyes on me. I could do anything I wanted and without fear of other people's scrutiny. It's also fairly spacious, giving a nice open feel. My sink was located outside of my container, which allowed me to brush my teeth outside when the weather was nice. It's pretty inconvenient when it rained, though. As I rolled my sleepy eyes, I moved my toothbrush around my mouth and thought back to what happened a day prior. Even after everything, Rimi had stayed in my room until late at night. She'd even held my hand until I finally calmed down, which had taken at least an hour. Damn. Although, it should clarify that nothing had actually happened between us before she'd gone home. Two people of the opposite sex, and the same age, no less, have been left all alone in a cramped room for hours on end, yet they never broached any particularly rude topics. If I had the skills to carry out conversations like that, I would have gained normie status a long time ago. Jesus Christ, why was I like this? That part of me that wanted this bullshit sexual gratification made me want to puke. Rimi was generally trying to help me, and it was a friend, nothing more. She had already done a lot for me just by saying I'll stay by your side. That alone had made me feel weeks better. Having just that pillar of support made a tremendous difference. Despite the gut-wrenching murder of Dr. Takashi in a numbskull case, I found myself feeling pretty stable after the night had passed. Come to think of it, what the hell was up with her acting so sexual before? It felt way too real to be called a hallucination. No matter how much I tried to convince myself otherwise, I just couldn't get over how sexy it was. It wasn't like I stared at them or anything, but I could definitely say that I'd seen the folds in her panties. As a self-proclaimed panty expert, albeit only for figures, I knew how realistic those folds had been. They had a level of detail you wouldn't see in a delusion. Okay, you know what? Who cares about them shit like that? Just forget it. The power to project delusions onto reality. Did such a thing really exist? Was I being targeted by Shogun because I had the power to do so? If I did have that power, childhood memory resurfaced. It was the day I hadn't been able to go on the field trip, the day where I'd been the only one not involved in a certain accident. The bus had crashed and several of my classmates were injured. And Mr. Sato, my teacher, died. I remembered images of those things appearing vividly in my mind back then. I'd seen them clear as day, had it really been just foreknowledge? What if those images hadn't just been foreknowledge? What if they'd been a delusion of mine? What if I projected that delusion onto reality? Like those images of the crucifixion? Because he saw it beforehand, it became true. Delusions into reality. My body threatened to start trembling, so I wrapped my arms around myself in an attempt to counter it.
だとしたら僕は
A murderer.
おはよ
Rimi was sitting there. Despite how early in the morning it was, she was just as cheerful and energetic as ever. The moment I saw her smile, the trembling, unable to fight, suddenly ceased. That was odd. I used to get extremely uncomfortable whenever 3D girls were around me, but for some reason I felt at ease now that Rimi was here.
う迎えに来たよなんでポッカーンってしてるの
Oh, I understood now. According to the minimum attendance chart, I had to go to school today. probably told Rimi that yesterday.
迎えに来てあげるって言ったよね。
Yeah, it had to be that. Because of Shogun, I've been too afraid to go out on my own. And that was when Rimi told me I was scared by your side. She was keeping that promise.
まさか本当に来るとは思わなかったとか？ビシッ。ふっふっふ。残念でした。こう見えても私尽くすタイプなんだ。
Why the hell is she so cute? God damn it. Rimi winked mischievously at me. What a woogie was this? I couldn't believe a girl from my class had come to pick me up. It was a scenario I would have never expected to ever happen in real life. She wanted to make it generally top tier. She should have barged in my room and woken me up. That would have insta-killed me. Oh, I cooked up idiotic delusions like that. Rimi looked up to the sky. That distant look of hers again.
冬の空が色あせたように見えるのはどうしてだと思う？
Well, the sun's red is composed of 7 colors, the well-known colors of the rainbow. For those 7 colors to reach a human eye, they first have to pass through the Earth's atmosphere. When that happens, a phenomenon called scattering occurs. To put it simply, when light collides with the particles in the atmosphere, it gets reflected in several random directions. Since it gets reflected in random directions, it results in light traveling around a lot, and that's what makes it really easily observable for people. The colors that scatter the most are purple and blue. That's why the sky is blue. I was so smart, impress even myself sometimes. That way, while my answer was based on scientific fact, Rimi's came from emotions and romanticism.
きっと寒くてみんなが下を向いちゃうから。青を望む人の数が減っちゃうの。
I felt like Rimi had already said something like that before, but when exactly?
だから寒くても上を向いて歩こ
う! I quickly changed clothes and left the Kurenai conference hall building with Rimi. Going to school together, for all intents and purposes, this was some normie shit. Shogun and Yua terrified me so much, I honestly wanted them to die. And it really meant that. Fucking kill yourself, both of you, and yet, thanks to them, I've been able to test out normie dom. Maybe I owed them more than I realized. I attempted to force myself to change how I felt about them, but Dr. Takashina's face resurfaced in my mind. My good mood was instantly blown away. My doctor had been killed, and could very well have been because of me. Shogun had killed a doctor I knew well, all to set an example or provoke me. I was hit with a wave of pure anxiety and dread. I began to gradually fall behind Rimi. Looking at her diagonally now, I glanced at the back of her head. What kind of expression could she be making? She was humming. She was humming the song from the Phantasma CD I lent her the day prior. Her footsteps were white and bouncy. We weren't even talking, so why was she so happy? Just a good question. Seeing her like that helped alleviate my anxiety, if only a little bit. But it was probably time to be honest with myself. Why was Rimi being so nice to me? Maybe the reason lay within the memories I had with her. Memories that were lost to me. When we arrived at school, I let Rimi go off on her own and made a break for the restroom. That was one of my secretly OP tactics. Felt bad since Rimi had gone out of her way to pick me up, but coming to school with a girl would make me stand out. Especially if the DQNs in my class noticed, who knew what terrible fate would be in store for me then. That was why I had taken a short break in the restroom. It would buy me enough time to make them think I'd come alone. And yet my mission had ended in failure. Putting a nonchalant look on my face, I left the restroom and headed toward the classroom at the end of the hallway, keeping my head down all the way. As I made my way there, I spotted Luis walking toward me. The moment our eyes met, Luis's lips twisted into a thin smile. Luis was a celebrity. I knew I'd be better off not talking to her when we were at school, as it would only make me stand out. Fortunately, Lise wasn't on the same page that I was, which she showed by choosing to stop directly in front of me. I had no choice but to follow suit.
匠、あれから警察はどう？
I nearly screamed, but I managed to cover my mouth with my hand. Why would you bring that up in public? I looked around in a panic. The situation was already really bad. And surprisingly, Lise was the center of attention. It was rare for her to come to school at all, and she was a fantastic vocalist, and she was a beautiful androgynous woman. That last thing was pretty much a universal opinion, meaning both guys and girls alike were immensely interested in Lise. Yeah, I can see that. They all knew there was no way she'd be talking to an otaku freak like me under normal circumstances. The gazes surrounding me were painful. I wanted to run away.
剣を探して。君はそうしなくちゃいけないのよ。
She always said the same thing every time we met. Luis may have been on my side, but I was tired of her repeating the same bullshit over and over again like a broken record. I want to get it just as much as you want me to, but I just don't know how.
ヒントが欲しい。君はどうやってあれを手に入れた？
いつの間にかそこにあった。
And there it was. Was she ever going to stop dodging the goddamn question?
気づかなかったわ、最初は。でも、ちょっとだけ見方を変えたら分かった。
Ooh, altered perspective.
もしかしたら、匠にももう見えているのかも。見ていないだけで。
And she's lost me. Conversing with Luis always wore me out. Spare me the Zen cones, please.
剣はちゃんと探してるよ。僕だって絶対手に入れたいから。
Unable to bear the piercing gazes for even a second longer, I gave Luis a short sigh of exasperation, then switched past her and into the classroom. After all that, I became even more depressed. Some of the guys, Masumi-kun included, were staring at me with astonishment. Shit, they seemed to be talking to Luis. I was in deep shit now. Who knew what they were going to say to me? Could deal with it if they just made fun of me for a bit, but I was worried that they'd go one step further and pick an actual fight with me. Just because I dared to talk to Luis, really didn't need a demo of high school gang activity. I dropped my gaze and made my way to my seat, trying to bring the least possible amount of tension to me. I beg you, leave me alone.
Oi, oi, oi!
My prayers were left unanswered.
タク、てめえいつの間に？今、岸本と話してたよな。
I had to remain silent. I couldn't allow myself to look up.
岸本が誰かとまともに会話してるとこ、初めて見たぜ。一体どんな手使ったんだよ。
I beg of you, don't yell so loud. It's echoing throughout the entire classroom. Please, just leave me alone. I have no intention of messing around with Luis. Even if I wanted to, I'm not worthy of her anyway. So please stop making such a big deal out of this.
なあ、タク、教えろって。
大地、
Right then, Rimi interrupted him.
落ち着け。タクが困ってるでしょ。
悪い悪い。
Masumi-kun lowered his voice and crouched me lightly in the back. With my head still hanging low, I let out a small sigh. Rimi had come to save me yet again.
で、実際のところ、どうやったんだ？
I didn't know what I expected. This was the dude who only fought with the wrong head after all.
もう、大地ってほんと節操ないよね。そのうち彼女さんに刺されるんじゃない？
心配すんなって。俺こう見えても各種ケアは欠かさねえから。
Uh-huh. Shit, among them.
何それ？
なあタク、教えろよ。岸本とはどんな感じなんだ？
Asking me once again, Masumi-kun started rubbing my shoulders. While as we're walking about, I timidly looked up. About half the guys in the classroom were taking quick glances at me and whispering to each other. Shit, they were still watching me. Don't look at me. Chills ran over the nape of my neck. If you were caught in a DQN's line of sight, you were finished. They never let you hear the end of it. All that awaited you was pure, unending hell. What should I do? Run away? Should I just skip classes and go home? Couldn't do that alone. The mere thought of running into either Shogun or you left my legs paralyzed. Should I just ask women to go back home with me? She said before that she kept her promises, which meant she stayed by my side at all times. So if she really had been telling the truth before, surely she'd skip class with me. Code was they needed to get out of the classroom as soon as possible. Oh shit. Suddenly a really loud sound came from the entrance. Everyone immediately turned their gazes toward it, trying to figure out what was going on. Oh shit. It was the transfer student. Rubbing her forehead with tears in her eyes, she bowed silently to everyone around her again and again. The entire classroom had fallen silent. What the hell?
今の見たか？
見た。一人で勝手に扉に激突してたね。
Damn, she is a very clumsy girl.
やっぱ小杖ちゃんは可愛いな。
If the clumsy girl archetype actually existed IRL, she certainly fit the bill. Aw. I feel so bad for her.
また泣いた。大丈夫かな。すごい音してたけど。
Before reading her voice, Rimi ran up to the transfer student before anyone else could. She just couldn't help herself from getting involved. Met her, but I guess she was just that kind.
うお、リミに先越された。待て待て。小杖ちゃんを解放するのは俺だ。
Making his intentions clear, aka telling Rimi to back off, Mitsumi-kun ran over to the transfer student, albeit a bit late. Transfer student running to the door ended up being a blessing in disguise. The guys that had been staring at me up until then now shifted their attention toward her. Gee, good job, transfer student. I'd have to thank her later. But right then, I happened to overhear what a group of girls near my desk were saying.
うざ。何あれ。狙ってやってんじゃん。
Their whispers were faint, but I knew exactly what they said. Girls can be fucking cool. Ugh. Cool is all shit.
視界にはデッドスポットと呼ばれる通常は使用されることのないいくつかの神経チャネルが存在することをご存知ですか？
Meanwhile, at the top secret NOZOMI headquarters. Okay. Dead spots.
それが第二世代と何か関係があるのかね？
そういうことになります。
Second generation.
簡単な実験をしてみましょう。これをご覧ください。
子供騙しを聞いている暇はないぞ。
重要なことですよ。この図には左側にドット、右側にリングがあります。
Okay.
では、左目を手で覆って見えないようにしてください。そのまま右目だけで図の左側にあるドットを見つめてください。
Okay. So I might as well just do it. Okay.
いかがですか？ドットを見つめる目の端の方にリングも存在しますか？
But yeah.
いくらドットだけを見つめていても、隣にあるリングがついでに見えているのは当然だと思うがな。
では先生、ドットだけを見つめたままモニターに顔を近づけていってみてください。隣のリングはどうなりますか？
Well, can't exactly do that since I got a mic in my fucking way, but I'll try a little bit.
ほう、これは興味深いね。
右側のリングが消えた。そうですね。これは視界が狭まったからではありません。 その証拠にさらにモニターに近づくことでリングはまた視界に現れます。
Mm.
これは一体どんなトリックだ？
いいえ、トリックの類ではありません。普段は使用されていないですが、人間が元から持っている目の機能の一つですよ。これはデッドスポットと呼ばれ、
Dead spot.
ノアによって人間の視界の中に無から有を作り出す際に使用するチャネルなのです。
Noah? Huh? Noah, huh? Well, son of a bitch, we got a title drop, kind of. Ooh. Okay. So this is what they're exporting in the eyes of the population. The kind of dead spots within the human eye, eh? Interesting. Interesting. Oh, shit. Well, obviously, we're getting a bit more on what exactly NOZOMI is up to. But what does New Gen have to do with any of this? They obviously want to control the population and want them to see what they want them to see. Maybe buy products and shit like that. But what is New Gen's, what's the angle of New Gen in all this? Who is behind New Gen? Is it really Shogun? Or is it someone else? What would be the point of New Gen at all? Maybe... Well, no. We just saw in a scene a group of people saying, whose eyes are those eyes? And the bathroom, when whose eyes are those eyes as well. And the victim, one of the victims in the first murder and the suicide jump said, whose eyes are those eyes? So, is the New Gen murders simply testing of, I guess, what they're calling Noah? I guess so. The testing of controlling populations via, like, can we control 5 people to jump off a skyscraper? Then what the hell would be the point of, putting a fucking fetus inside a guy, crucifying another to the side of a building, skinning another person, and removing the brains of a doctor? What the hell would be the point of those? Maybe just to incite hysteria within the population of Shibuya in order to make them more susceptible to information, more than likely. And that's the only thing that would be keen to that. Maybe the first murder was the only real test they made of controlling 5 people to make them jump off a building, while the others have been there just to incite more insanity within Shibuya in order to easily control the masses. That's what I'm guessing, what the hell New Gen could possibly be. It's probably NOZOMI still behind it as well. But what the hell are the then what the hell are the DI swords then? Where the hell do they come from? And how do people gain that power? Like, because they're mental? Or, something's off about their brain, so they're able to see things other people aren't able to see. Maybe perhaps something like that, but what the hell is going on still? I feel like we're getting there. I see where this story could possibly go, but it's like there's still a lot of blind spots here. As he said, there are a lot of dead spots here, as we don't have the full picture yet, but it's still goddamn interesting. This game is so interesting. I think what really helps it is those little vignettes every now and then in between these different scenes of taken away from Takayumi's perspective. I think those scenes really help a lot. And you guys can confirm this for me or not. Were these like in between scenes in the original Chaos Head, or were these added in the Noah version? Because I'm very curious about that, because they kind of feel tacked on. They kind of do feel added in, but they don't feel out of place, really. I think they really do help with the kind of pacing. well, I wouldn't say pacing, but like more world building, I guess. Just to take us out of the head of Takumi just for a little bit. Not too long, just a little bit, so we can see the outside world and like what's actually happening. While if we were still with Takumi and if these scenes weren't there, we would still be confused about a whole bunch of shit. But I like those scenes a lot because it does give you a little bit of answers. It's nice to, like, I don't want to be confused all of the time. I would want a little bit of answers, just a little bit. Could make me confused for like 98% of the game, but at least give me that like 2% of answers for me. Like, just so I can still have like ground to land on, to like stand on at least, have something like that. So I really do like these little vignettes we keep seeing. They help quite a bit with this story. But anyway, guys, if you guys have enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button. If you liked it, hit the like button. Wait, something, put comments as well. Check out our Discord server out in, or my Twitter. Check out the description below. And yeah, this has been Voidlego. I'll see you guys next time. See ya!